The crack of a single gunshot split the desert air at Forward Operating Base, Vanguard. Sergeant Major Colt Brennan had just fired one round into the cloudless California sky. Hold, everybody, hold. 80 male recruits froze, their heads turning toward the observation tower where Brennan stood, his weathered face contorted with disgust and theatrical fury. Brennan descended the tower stairs 2 at a time. 23 years in the Marine Corps had carved him into something hard and uncompromising. He walked through the formation until he stopped directly in front of Private Emma Hayes. At 5'6", she was notably smaller than most of the men surrounding her. You, Brennan said, pointing. What's your name? Private Hayes, Sergeant Major. Hayes, you think you belong here? Hayes, I'm here to train, Sergeant Major. That's not what I asked. See, I've been doing this for longer than you've been alive, and in my experience, there are soldiers who earn their place through blood and sweat, and then there are diversity quotas that the politicians force down our throats. A ripple of laughter spread through the formation. Emma's expression didn't change. Brennan picked up an M16A1 from the equipment shed. The rifle was clearly old stock. Rust spotted the barrel, and the stock had a visible crack. He let it drop at Emma's feet. Pick it up, beauty queen. Emma bent slowly and lifted the rifle from the dust. Now, here's the deal. If you can pass today's kill house drill with that rifle, Hayes, then maybe I'll start believing you're not just taking up space. Captain Victoria Sterling watched from the observation deck. At 35, she was the first woman to achieve company command at Vanguard. This is exactly why integration policies fail, Sterling muttered. They lower the standards, pretend everything's equal, and then wonder why nobody takes it seriously. Down on the range, Emma raised her eyes to meet Brennan's directly for just a moment. Lieutenant Blake Cordova emerged, carrying ammunition. He held out a belt 20 rounds. Standard load was 40. Problem? Hayes. Cordova's smile widened. No problem, sir. Excellent. Oh, and Hayes, I've assigned you to Fire Team Delta. Fire Team Delta, the reject squad. Private Danny Torres stood near the armory with embarrassment. Ma'am, that rifle hasn't been fired in years. The firing pin might be broken. Emma checked the chamber in a motion so fluid it could have been mistaken for simple inspection. It's intact. It just needs cleaning. The buzzer sounded. 8 minutes started counting down. Emma moved forward into the compound and immediately did something unexpected. She went left. The first target popped at 50 yards. Emma's rifle came up smoothly, and the rifle jammed. But her hands moved through an immediate action drill with mechanical precision. 1.2 seconds. The target was still visible. Emma fired center mass. Perfect hit. Wait, what? Matthews leaned forward, his grin faltering. A second target appeared at 100 yards, moving laterally. Emma tracked it and fired during the exact moment when the target's momentum shifted direction. Another center mass hit. Webb the armorer lifted his binoculars, studying Emma's technique. This wasn't basic marksmanship. This was something else entirely. 4 minutes and 37 seconds after entering the compound, Emma and her team emerged. 17 hits out of 18 rounds fired. Accuracy, 94%. 0 civilian targets engaged. Course record beaten by 3 minutes and 14 seconds. Silence fell across the observation deck, then chaos. General Reeves lowered her binoculars slowly. She'd seen combat excellence before, and she recognized the particular quality of Emma's performance. It wasn't luck. It was trained competence. Captain Sterling descended from the observation deck. Private Hayes, hold position. You got lucky. One good run doesn't make you an operator. Yes, ma'am. There are people here who've spent years earning respect. You think you can show up and shortcut that process? No. Mom? Sergeant Major Brennan called Emma to his office. Where did you train before this? Basic training? Then infantry school? Then here, Sergeant Major. Standard pipeline. Your file shows weapons qualification scores were mediocre. Now suddenly you're shooting expert plus. Maybe I'm a late bloomer, Sergeant Major. Brennan's fist came down on the desk. Don't play games with me, Private. I know the difference between natural talent and trained expertise. I completed the assigned drill to Standard, Sergeant Major. Word of Emma's performance spread through the base like wildfire. Private Alex Chen spent his evening studying footage from the kill house cameras. Emma's footwork was wrong, not incorrect, but different from standard doctrine. He'd seen this footwork before in a classified training video, labeled Tier 1 CQB Doctrine. Night fell. Emma sat alone in the barracks, cleaning her rifle. Private Maria Gonzalez approached. Private Hayes, I just wanted to say what you did today was amazing. Could you maybe show me some time? The range opens at 0600. If you're there, I'll show you. The next morning, Emma worked with Gonzalez for an hour, breaking down fundamentals. Most instructors covered in minutes. By 0700, Gonzalez was hitting targets at 150 yards, with consistency she'd never achieved before. Gunnery Sergeant Morrison arrived and watched for several minutes. When the session ended, he approached Emma. Private Hayes, I need you to demonstrate something. Field strip this rifle completely, then reassemble it blindfolded. Emma accepted the cloth and tied it around her eyes. Her fingers moved with surgical precision. 38 seconds. The completely disassembled weapon lay in perfect organizational order. Morrison checked his stopwatch twice. How? Nobody gets that fast with practice alone. The rifle clicked together. Emma handed it back. Permission to return to my duties, Gunny. Morrison, let her go. He called Webb. I just watched her field strip a rifle blindfolded in 38 seconds. We need to talk. Lieutenant Cordova received a response to his background verification request. Request denied. Subject file, classified level 7. No access authorized without JSOC approval. Level 7 classification. Cordova decided to confront Emma directly. He found her at 14:30 hours in the armory. Private Hayes, we need to talk. I ran your background verification. Either you're impersonating someone with classified background, or you're here under false pretenses. Either way, I want answers. Now, sir, my service record is accurate. If you have concerns about classification levels, that's above my authority to address. Don't play games with me. Private. Cordova reached out to grab her arm. Emma's hand moved in a blur, redirecting his grab into a joint lock. Then she released him and stepped back. Sir, I recommend you leave. You just assaulted an officer. I defended myself against unauthorized physical contact. Sir, there's a difference. Cordova backed toward the door. This isn't over, Hayes. Sergeant Major Brennan called an emergency formation at 1700 hours. Tomorrow morning, 0800 hours, we're conducting a final evaluation exercise. Live fire, complex scenario. And to make things interesting, we're implementing competitive team dynamics. It was deliberate targeting, another attempt to create conditions where Emma would either fail or reveal more. That night, at 0230 hours, Emma entered the communications building through a maintenance entrance. 20 minutes of careful work gave her what she needed. Transmission logs showing Lieutenant Cordova had been sending encrypted messages to an external address associated with a private military contractor with connections to hostile intelligence services. She documented everything. Mission accomplished. 800 hours arrived. The final evaluation exercise was even more complex than anticipated. Emma was assigned to Fireteam Delta again, competing directly against Fireteam Alpha, led by Private Matthews. The exercise began with both teams entering from opposite sides. Matthews's team moved with aggressive confidence. Emma's team moved like ghosts. Matthews's team engaged immediately, using excessive ammunition. Emma's team waited. She'd identified that the automated targets appeared in patterns. By waiting 7 seconds, her team could engage during a gap and advance while Matthews's team was still suppressing. She's reading the pattern, Morrison said. How is she reading the pattern? Emma's team reached the hostage location first. The extraction required carrying 200 pounds through 200 yards under simulated fire. Emma created a modified diamond formation where 3 team members rotated through covering positions while she carried the hostage alone. That's impossible, Brennan said. She collapsed halfway through, but Emma didn't collapse. Matthews's team reached the extraction point 10 seconds before Emma's team, but they'd used all their ammunition and failed to properly clear. Emma's team completed with 0 casualties, 15 rounds remaining, and beat the facility's record by 42 seconds. Silence, then chaos. General Reeves descended from the observation deck. Private Hayes, remain in position. Where did you learn those tactics? Standard infantry doctrine. Ma'am, don't insult my intelligence. What you just demonstrated was Tier 1 Special Operations Extraction Protocol. Where did you learn it? Emma met Reeves's eyes directly. Ma'am, I'm not authorized to answer that question. Reeves pulled out her phone. This is Major General Reeves, Vanguard. I need immediate verification on Private Emma Hayes. The conversation lasted 3 minutes. When she disconnected, she looked at Emma with completely different eyes. Lieutenant Hayes. Attention. Emma's posture shifted subtly but unmistakably from private to officer bearing. Lieutenant Cordova has been detained. Military intelligence received evidence approximately 0630 this morning of security breaches. I assume you know something about that evidence. Yes, ma'am. Lieutenant Emma Hayes, Task Force Black, officially killed in action 3 years ago in Syria. The words carried across the now silent range. 80 witnesses heard simultaneously. Brennan descended the stairs? That's impossible. Task Force Black was completely eliminated. Not every operator, Colonel Pierce said, stepping forward. One survived. One spent 6 months recovering from injuries that should have been fatal. One came back from the dead to hunt the people who'd betrayed her unit. Show them, Pierce said quietly. Emma lifted the edge of her uniform shirt, exposing her lower back. The tattoo was a geometric eagle pattern in black ink. Below it, her call sign, Phantom. Master Sergeant Drake removed his cover and held it over his heart. I served with black operators in Kandahar 2008. Ma'am, it's an honor. One by one, officers and enlisted personnel came to attention. Colonel Pierce raised his hand in formal salute, followed by Morrison, Webb, and dozens of others. Even Brennan eventually brought his hand up. General Reeves returned the salute. At ease, Lieutenant Hayes. Captain Sterling approached and extended her hand. I built my career by being harder than everyone else. I thought that was the only way. You showed me there's a different path. Thank you. Private Matthews approached. Ma'am, I don't know what to say. You acted like a soldier under stress. We're good, Matthews. Lieutenant Cordova was formally charged with unauthorized disclosure of classified information. He'd been selling tactical training information to a private military contractor, compromising multiple facilities. His arrest led to 12 additional detentions across 4 installations. The investigation revealed he'd accumulated over $300,000 in payments. Sergeant Major Brennan received an official reprimand. Your conduct toward Lieutenant Hayes was not just unprofessional, it was a systematic attempt to undermine a classified operation through personal bias. You're being removed from training command effective immediately. Morrison approached Emma with a formal request. Ma'am, I've compiled everything you taught Private Gonzalez. Would you review it for a training manual revision? Emma agreed, and over the following week, they created the Phantom Protocol Advanced Tactical Training that would be distributed to every advanced training facility in the U.S. military. Sterling requested a private meeting. I need to apologize, not just for dismissing you specifically, but for the entire framework I used to justify my career. Will you help me adapt? Sterling slid a folder across the desk. JSOC has authorized your reassignment as senior instructor. 2-year commitment, full authority to redesign training protocols. You interested? I need to complete my current mission first. Cordova's network, there are secondary contacts still unidentified. Then take the assignment. Use Vanguard as home base while you complete the investigation. Emma extended her hand. Deal. 6 weeks after the revelation, Emma stood alone on the range where Brennan had first thrown that rusted M16 at her feet. The rifle sat beside her, now fully restored. Her encrypted phone buzzed. Hayes, Lieutenant, this is Colonel Marcus, JSOC Operations. We've identified 3 more facilities with potential security breaches. Fort Carson, Colorado is priority 1. We need someone who can go deep cover. Emma looked at the restored rifle, then across the range where her students were beginning to arrive. Timeline, 2 weeks for current obligations, then immediate deployment. Different base, different identity, I'll be ready. 2 weeks later, at 0530, Emma stood in front of her assembled students one final time. You're ready? You've all exceeded every standard. Trust your training, trust each other. And remember, excellence doesn't require recognition. It requires commitment. Morrison stepped forward with the rusted M16, now mounted on a display plaque with a simple inscription. When everyone doubted, one soldier proved excellence needs no perfect conditions. You better come back to retrieve it properly, Gonzalez said. That's an order from your second student. I'll do my best, Private. The transport helicopter landed at 0600 hours. Emma boarded with a single duffel bag. As the aircraft lifted off, she looked down at Vanguard one final time, the range where she'd shattered records, the compound where she'd revealed herself, the facility she'd fundamentally changed. The helicopter banked east toward Fort Carson. Emma settled into her seat, pulled out the challenge coin Harrison had given her, and allowed herself one moment of reflection. Some warriors never retire. They just change battlefields. The helicopter climbed higher, Emma's silhouette visible against the dawn sky. Then the aircraft turned and disappeared into the sunrise, carrying a ghost operator toward the next mission, the next identity, the next moment when someone would underestimate her. Excellence doesn't advertise, it simply performs when called. And Lieutenant Emma Phantom Hayes would keep performing until every security threat was neutralized. Every fallen teammate was honored, and every soldier who deserved better training received it. The ghost was operational again, and somewhere in the desert behind her, a restored rifle stood in a training office, waiting for the day when its owner would return to claim it properly. Some promises are made to be kept, some warriors refuse to stay buried, and some stories continue long after the telling ends.